discuss Sharpe ratio, also known as a risk-adjusted return. So obviously, the higher the ratio, the better, right? The performance of a portfolio of it. So essentially, what it is it's going to be the return of the portfolio minus the risk-free rate over the standard deviation. So it's going to be annualized, but you take if you had a portfolio or a stock that earned, let's say 10% over the year, minus the risk-free rate. So the risk-free rate is usually defined as the 13-week T-bill. That's just something that we decided, I guess, in the financial system that's going to be considered the return where you're literally taking no risk. So anything above anything other than that, you're going to be taking a little more risk to get more return, right? So it's going to be the return minus the portfolio return minus the risk-free rate, which is sort of the risk premium, divided by the standard deviation, right? Standard deviation basically measures how the portfolio returns vary from the mean, which is the average. So you have the average portfolio return, and then you basically calculate how much the yearly, how much it varies basically per year. So what do I mean by that? So let's say you had a portfolio, two portfolios. One, they both average 10%, and one returned, let's say 10%, 11, 12, 9, 8, 10, something like that. As you can notice, they're kind of clustered around the mean. So that's going to have a low standard deviation. So that number is going to be lower in the denominator, which means that the overall Sharpe ratio is going to be higher. That's a good thing. Compare that to a portfolio that did 10, and all of a sudden the average, the returns were, call it 20, 0, 15, 5, 17, 3. As you noticed, there's a large variance, right? And a large standard deviation. That's a bad thing. People want a smoother ride rather than a bumpier ride, and you want to be compensated extra for the risk. So objectively, just that the first portfolio is going to be superior, and it's going to have a higher Sharpe ratio. So the Sharpe ratio accounts for that. So you always want to take that into account. You don't want to have something that has, if you're getting the same average return, you better pick the one with the lower standard deviation, overall lower Sharpe ratio. So always go for the smoother ride. So the standard deviation is basically going to compute that number that basically compares what the actual returns are every year compared to the average return. So you are going to have to pick a specific time period to do that for. But yeah, so you always want to have a higher Sharpe ratio. You want to have a lower standard deviation. And in general, for exams, if you ever see, like let's say they ask about an older person, what portfolio is best for them, you always want to match the lowest standard deviation to the highest return. And if it was someone younger, you want to find the highest return and match that to the lowest standard deviation. So the higher Sharpe ratio, the better. Please like and subscribe, listen for more, and have a great day.